Oh, hey everybody, welcome to Do You Believe on ParanormalZoneTV. You're watching a live broadcast. We are always live. First show is always live and then it goes into archives. So thanks so much for being here on a Thursday evening. Now tonight, those of you who may be new to the show, if you would please subscribe, I'd appreciate it. And please give the show a like. I'm sure you're going to love the show tonight because I have a fabulous guest. Returning to the show is Vanessa Hogle, and I just love doing these shows with Vanessa. So let's bring Vanessa on. Vanessa, would you tell the viewers? I think by now they're aware that you are a psychic, an author, a remote viewer. You're a psychic drawer. Oh, you know what? She's an author of these 3 fabulous books, and these books can be. You got 4?
I have 4 now.
I only have 3 I found on the internet.
Yeah, Rebel Witch came out, and I can't see you, so I don't know which ones you're holding up.
Well, I've got Soulscape, Giving Up the Ghost, and your Rebel Witch.
Okay, so there's Walking with Ghosts. Also, it's between Giving Up the Ghost and Rebel Witch. Walking with Ghosts deals with the investigations in Virginia, England, and Scotland.
Vanessa, I feel so bad because I'm a hog. I'm a hog for you because you were so fabulous at these shows that we do, and I never think about having you on as an author because you've got those 4 fabulous books. And I need to do that. Next year I need to do that. But my first choice is doing these Unsolved Mysteries with you because they are so much fun. I love doing these shows with you.
People seem to enjoy them.
Oh,
so, yeah.
Yeah, they do. I get all the time, when are you going to have Vanessa back on? When are you going to have Vanessa back on? Hey, yeah. So, is there anything else you'd like to tell the viewers about yourself?
Oh, good gravy. Well, hi y'all. I'm really fucking tired. So excuse the look and the hair because damn. I just got back. Wynn Clapper and I just got back August 4th from filming our docuseries called Hidden Gems in Ireland, and we're hoping to have anywhere between 5 and 10 episodes on Amazon Prime. The first one, the pilot episode, being sometime around the middle of October. And it is completely different than anything you've ever seen before. It is completely different. It is, it's not just paranormal, it's historical. We had real-time interviews with people. Their paranormal stories, their history of Ireland. We went to lesser known places that, Norene, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. I crawled into a hole in the ground, a cave.
No.
Yes, me and Gwen both did, along with Susie Kinsella. We went to Cave of the Cats, Cave of the Morgan, there in Ireland. That was huge. That was a blessing. Such a blessing.
Oh, hey, listen, I give you credit for going into a cave. I would never do that. Never.
Well, I'm getting ready to impress you.
Oh, no.
My claustrophobia is legendary. It's clinical.
And you went into a cave?
I went into a cave that the opening to it, the majority of the opening to get down before we basically slid down these wet rocks into the bottom of the cave, was maybe 3 feet in diameter.
Oh my God, there's no way.
Yeah.
No way.
It took everything I had in me. Everything I had in me to do it. And I'm so happy I did.
Oh my God. Honey,
so happy I did.
Give you a lot of credit because there's no way. Wow.
It was interesting. It was a beautiful experience. It was a beautiful experience. I think people forget paranormal doesn't always mean ghosts. Sometimes it's mythology and history and the strange things of history. We hit at least 2 times over there what I would call paranormal or mythological gold.
Really?
Totally by accident.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Absolute gold.
Damn.
So,
what an experience. Wow.
Yeah, me and Gwen will have to come on and talk about it after the first episode comes out.
Oh,
or at least,
yeah.
Or some of the episodes, whatever.
Oh, yeah, sure. Let me know. Probably next year. Would that be okay?
Oh, that'd be fine.
Oh, okay.
That'd be fine, yeah. I had a chance to get it in front of Netflix. And with Netflix, the unfortunate thing is you have to sell everything to them. And then they can configure it and do whatever they want to with it. And we made these people a promise of how they would be represented. And me nor Gwen feel comfortable in handing the reins over to somebody else.
I totally understand that.
Yeah, so it's going on Amazon Prime.
Oh, good for you. That's awesome. Yeah. Send me the link so I can watch it. Yeah, send me the link.
When the pilot episode comes out, trust me, I'll be doing that. And please, everybody, once it finally comes out, I don't care whether people, if they get mad at me or what, I want you to share the shit out of that. Okay? Because it's wonderful people, wonderful stories, wonderful history, and it shows the connectivity between all of us and how synchronicity is alive and well, and that we just need to pay attention to it.
Wow. That sounds awesome, honey.
Thank you.
So, are you ready for the show tonight?
Sure.
Okay. Now, Vanessa, we're doing four topics tonight, 4 cases, okay?
Okay.
We're doing the Delphi murders from Indiana.
Okay.
Then we're going to do the West Memphis 3 because people have been asking me for us to do the show. They want to know, who the killers were. And then we'll do the disappearance of Walter Collins, which I've, ever since I saw the movie The Changeling, which I had no idea the movie The Changeling was based on a true story. I didn't know that.
Wow.
And the disappearance of Walter Collins, his story,
now,
that's...
Do you mean The Changeling with George C.
No, that's my favorite movie.
I love that movie.
They remade, produced a movie.
Angelina Jolie.
Yeah, and they changed it, they named it the same thing, The Changeling.
So not the same.
No, it's not. It's completely different. And so that they portrayed that in the media, The Changeling, in the 2008 film with Angelina Jolie. And I didn't know that was a real story. And then the last one, I just found this on the internet, and I had seen other people posting about this. A bizarre death in the mysterious room of 1046. That's really weird. Okay, so let's start with the Delphi murders. And okay, so this is how it goes if you haven't seen these shows before. I read the story, which I'm sorry, I have to. I don't have a fabulous voice like Royce Hinman, my mod, but I read the story, and Vanessa listens, and then what happens is, Vanessa, tell them what you do while I'm reading the story.
Well, when you're reading the story, that's when images come to me, which they actually kind of already have when you were ticking them off. And then I just give my reading of what I think happened or different information for these particular cases. And maybe someday the right person will hear it and maybe there is a way to solve some of these.
All right, so our first case, the Delphi murders. Libby German, 14, and Abigail Williams, 13. They were found dead on a hiking trail near Delphi in 2017. Now, there's another thing I have to explain to you guys. I'm reading and showing pictures at the same time. So, bear with me. It's kind of hard to do. Okay.
Can I go ahead and butt in real quick?
Yeah.
3 guys were involved. 1 older, 2 teenage boys were involved. A teenage boy was with each girl, and older guy was behind them. And it was like the older guy was the dad or the uncle of these 2 teenage boys between 15 and 17. Definitely not of age. You know what I mean? Not like an adult age. Although at 17 you're pretty much an adult, but you know what I mean. Not of legal age.
Okay.
And it's weird because it's almost like this man was prepping these boys. And if they want to have a pretty good idea of who did this, they need to look into additional disappearances that happened in the same, not exact vicinity, but same general vicinity within probably a 10-mile radius of where these happened. And they'll find that if they dig deep enough, that these same 3 people will not be witnesses to it, but people will have seen them around, will have seen them together. This was not passers through.
Okay. All right. So let me tell the
Go ahead.
story.
I just had to get
Oh,
that out.
no, that's fine, because I'll tell the story, because as I tell them more of the story, you'll pick up some more, and maybe you'll have a sketch and a name. So this is how the story, I am in my research, this is the story. All right, okay, let me go back here again. Sorry, guys. The girls, 13-year-old Abigail Williams and 14-year-old Liberty German, were dropped off on a local hiking trail. Hiking trail by the family members around 1 p.m. on February 13th, 2017. The girls were supposed to meet German's father at about 3:15, but they never showed up. And this is the area where they went missing. Police launched a manhunt. The following morning, the Delphi middle schoolers' bodies were found near Deer Creek, about a half a mile from the last known location. It's not yet clear how the girls died. Officials released a low-quality, grainy photo of a man in jeans, a thick blue jacket, as well as audio footage from German's phone in which a man can be heard saying, "Down the hill." Now, I have a clip of that. So, let me play that, okay? Let me play that clip. And that's I'm showing them the description. They have a picture of the guy as well. They
I can't see any of
I
that.
I know. She got it off of her cell phone. They didn't have cameras, but they had their cell phone. So she snapped this, and then also she got and I don't know how she got the audio, but she took it off of her phone. So let me find this clip. Okay, here's the audio clip. Is it not playing? Hold on, I'm gonna have to pull it in.
I heard like a little bleep.
Did you hear it?
Like a little bleep, you know, no words or anything. I didn't hear it.
All right, hold on. Since the computer crashed, I'll probably have to bring it back in. Okay, hold on. Let me bring it back in. Come on. Bring that back in so I can play this for you. And I'm going to bring that audio clip back in, guys. Hold on, Royce. Oh, it's playing repeatedly. Oh, they're hearing it. Oh, okay. I'm gonna.
Okay,
All right,
good.
hold on. I'll delete it. If I delete it, hopefully it'll. Because I hit for. Okay, here. Remove. Okay. Hopefully it stopped. All right. I think it stopped. Hold on. Um, all right. Did the audio stop on that? It's always something.
Um, while you're doing that, I was going to tell you, I don't know if this is how one or both of them passed. I don't know. All I know is what I'm being shown is one really big hand going around the throat, thumb on one side, fingers on the other, and a wound being at the base of the skull, right back here, like it forcibly cracked right against a rock.
Okay. All right. Let me.
Whether that's them or not, I don't know, because I can't see the face because everything is blue, like it's not blue like the color blue, but it's like underwater, kind of that way, but not fully.
Okay.
It's kind of bizarre. It has that hazy look.
Okay. All right, let me finish. It's not clear if the man in the footage is the same person who ordered the girls down the hill. Even before police released the chilling audio, German's phone provided a look into her final hours. And let's see, I have a picture of her. All right. Shortly into the hike, German posted 2 snapshot photos from the Monon High Bridge. In one photo, they walk along the bridge, and Abigail Williams is the only person in sight, and that's what I'm showing them, the bridge. And then this was the last picture taken of Abigail from the phone. And then the other photo looks down, where I'm showing them, where the railroad tracks vanish into thick forest. Within the following hours, an unknown man would order them into the woods and down the hill. On July 17th, officials released a sketch of the suspect, and I'm showing that right now. This described as 5 feet 6 inches to 5 feet 10 inches, weighing 180 to 220 pounds with reddish brown hair. During the Monday conference, authorities released new evidence from German's phone. An 11-second audio clip in which Down the Hill, which I played, is repeated a few times, and a video clip of the suspect taking 2 steps on the bridge. Now, why she did that, what gave her the inkling to do that, I can't figure out. Then authorities also released a markedly different sketch of a suspect, asking residents to consider the old version secondary to the suspect that is likely between 18 and 14, although he may appear to be younger. Okay, hold on. In September 2017, police arrested 31-year-old Daniel Nations as a potential suspect after he was arrested in Colorado for threatening people on a hiking trail with a hatchet. But Indiana authorities later downplayed the arrest, stating that Nations was not someone they care a whole lot about. Despite dozens, besides tens of thousands of tips and a $230,000 reward, the case remains a mystery.
I'm a little confused. And this isn't the psychic in me, this is the analytical Vanessa in me. I am a little confused. The height difference and the weight difference, that's excessive. The shortest to tallest and the height that they said that the person appears to be from 5'7" to 5'11", I think is what you said. And then 180 to 220 pounds. That is a 40-pound difference.
Yeah.
That's a 40-pound difference and a 4-inch difference. said they've got a picture of this man?
Yeah, I can send it to you on Facebook. These are the two images. One is a younger version, and then there's a second fella that looks older, and with a cap on his head, and it looks like, I don't know if they just, the description was with a sweatshirt, or they put a hoodie, pullover hoodie sweatshirt on him, but the face is gruffier and darker.
Now, my question is, the older gentleman, the one that you're talking about,
Yeah.
Was he the one that did the audio, that she got the audio on?
They don't know which one it was.
Okay.
And now the picture that she...
Are there any landmarks or anything that they could gauge that person's height or weight in comparison to? You said he was on a bridge?
Well, the picture that they have of the fella that she got on her phone, he had a hat on. He had a blue sweatshirt, a blue hoodie-type jacket, and some kind of maybe a striped blue shirt with a blue around the collar, the neck, and he had blue jeans, and I'm not sure if he's wearing Keds or what kind of shoes he's wearing.
Okay, my question is, you said he was on a bridge, right?
Yes, she captured this.
Is there a railing on the bridge?
Let's get a look at the no, there's no railing, just with the tracks, and then on each side of the track is like a 6-foot wood that goes all the way down.
Okay. There's still enough, based on what you're telling me on that picture, to gauge his height more accurately than to have a 4-inch difference. And if they've got a picture of him, 40 pounds is a huge difference.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't look that heavy.
Huge difference. So there's discrepancy in the police work there. That has me concerned.
Okay. Yeah, the fella that she captured on her phone, he doesn't look like. Of course, I mean, I'm not sure. His legs look skinny, but he looks a little bit heavier from the waist up. But it could be the jacket. It looks like a big fat down jacket, but yet now I don't know why that he's wearing that, because. Oh yeah, the girl, the Abigail, she had a jacket on as well. So it might have been chilly.
Yeah, you said Indiana, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have relatives in Indiana, and it's their summers don't last quite as long. It gets chilly up there a little bit quicker. There's something about the police work there. I'm not being accusatory.
Mm-hmm.
So before any cops or spouses of cops or friends of cops get mad at me, I'm not being that way. But I am the ex-wife of a cop. And description is everything. And if they have a picture and they can gauge off of anything else in that picture, as far as a height difference goes and a weight difference goes, to be so off by 4 inches and 40 pounds, to have such a variance, that is very abnormal. And something's not right. Something's not ringing true with that.
It looks like the drawing, the sketching that they have of this older looking man really resembles more of the picture that she captured on her phone, and the hat seems kind of almost the same cap. It's one of those flat, soft hats with a rim, and it's like, I should send it to you. I don't know.
Yeah, my phone's behind me back here, so if you do, it'll light up and it'll let me know. Where I can see it.
All right, hold on. Let me see if I can send it. Go ahead, talk. So I'll see if I can send this to you.
The person that I can get the best look at isn't of an older gentleman. It's of a younger gentleman. The one, probably the one closer to 17 years old, because there's 115, 117. And I would put him as having light brown with a little bit more touch of golden, like the sun highlighted it, not fake highlights in it. The kind of hair where if you put your fingers through it, curls kind of curl around it. You know what I mean? Short on the sides, a little bit longer on the top. Wide set, more almond-shaped eyes, not round, and not cat, not the girly kind that turn up, but like just oval eyes, like almond-shaped eyes. Smaller nose, a little bit more pointy to the end of it, narrow chin. And I would put him at right around maybe 5'9", 5'10", and I would say $160 soaking wet.
Okay, I just sent you the picture.
Okay, did it not light up?
Yeah, the two images, one of a younger fellow and one of an older fellow.
Let me look.
Okay.
Hold it. Y'all didn't realize I'm old yet. Let me put on my reading glasses. Laugh, I hurt you. Let me see if I can find it on here. Hold on. Oh, there you are. Oh. Okay, well, yeah.
Hey, do you want me to send you the picture also of the fella that she captured on her phone?
Now, to me, the kid I saw, how can I do this where y'all can see it? Mother trucker, it's not going to work, is it? Oh, I can dim my light. Hold it.
Okay, I'm going to send you another picture. I'm gonna send you the picture that they captured.
Okay, I dimmed my phone. See, This kid right here is pretty much what I saw, but his eyes looked wider, set to me, and he's got curly hair.
Well, they're showing curly hair.
Yeah.
Oh.
But to me, his eyes looked like they were, like there was a larger space in between his eyes. That's a little bit more narrow than what I saw.
Oh, so what about the older man? Is there any connection with him that second sketch that they did?
I think that they're related.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think that they're related. I think it's possibly a father-son trio, or maybe an uncle.
Oh.
Like I said, prepping them.
All right, now look at the other picture.
We really need to check for additional crimes in that area after the fact, and even slightly before. You know, when I talk about like prepping them, kind of like, you know how gangs will initiate somebody into a gang?
Yeah.
Serial killers will do the same thing.
Oh.
Yeah, it's like sharing the worst secret ever. And it also brings a little bit of safety to you because your people that are doing this with you and sharing in it can't rat you out because they're just as guilty.
Okay, now what about the image that she caught on her phone? The one with the man with the blue jeans and the blue jacket. What do you pick up from him?
He definitely isn't no 220.
Now, if you look closely at that face, it resembles
the guy that they drew, the older guy.
Yeah, the sketch.
Yeah, it could be. It's really, really, really hard to tell. I actually think his face is leaner than what they drew. I think it's leaner than what they drew. I think that they were making it a little bit too fleshy through there. This person has a record. They have a record. This older person does.
Oh.
They've had brushes with the law.
Really?
Yes. They most definitely have.
Okay.
And see, this is what I'm trying to say. So now that I can see the picture, I can tell you what I'm talking about. If you're looking at that picture and you see how there's railroad ties that go alongside that bridge,
yeah,
they can, if they do proper police work, they can gauge where he's at on this bridge by the brush that is behind him and how those two other railroad ties interconnect. And they can gauge the distance from where he's at to that connection. connection between those two railroad ties to get a proper idea of his height.
Well, okay,
I
so
would put him right at 5'9".
yeah, because what they did was they cropped the picture because there is the background. Yeah, they cropped that picture.
But if they know the distance from where he was standing at during that picture and where those two railroad ties interconnect, if they know the distance of that, the length of that, they can actually do the math and figure out pretty dead on balls accurate how tall he is.
Okay.
So I would put him right at 5'9". 5'9", maybe 165, 170. Right at about 42 years old. Blue eyes.
Are you picking up any names by any chance?
The very first name that came to me was Ralph.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Now, whether that is him or one of the two boys, I have no idea. That's the very first name that came to me.
Yeah.
Does not mean that that is a name that's involved with it, but that's the first name that came to me.
Yeah, now, you know, the only suspect they ever arrested was that Daniel Nations, but they released him. They said they weren't interested in him at all. And why he was a suspect, I don't know. Oh, because they had arrested him for people on a hiking trail. That's why, with a hatchet.
Yeah. Which I'm sure there's been more than one weird person on a walking trail anywhere in this country.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's not reason alone to hold somebody or to press charges. It is a reason to pick up. It is a reason to pick up and question. I mean, I'm definitely not down on anybody on that, but it isn't enough to hold somebody or charge them.
Yeah. What a shame.
It really is.
Unsolved.
Yeah.
Nothing. They have nothing.
No, they're just not looking at it from the right viewpoint. You know, I'm not even gonna blame them, because let's face it. I mean, technology gets better every day. You know, so you and I have talked about this before. You know, as recent as 20 years ago, we were still in the dark ages compared to what we are now and what we can do with technology and DNA and everything else. But I'm not faulting the police for that. But I am saying that it was not looked into as thoroughly as it could have been. Okay. It feels like one of those situations where we're going to put a reward out there and just pray somebody comes forward and solves this for us.
Yeah. All right, so let's do our next case.
Okay.
The West Memphis 3.
They didn't do it.
Hold on. The murders of 3 boys on May 5th, 1993, and these are the boys that were murdered. And these were the boys that were arrested. All right, so let me tell them about it. This case captured the nation's attention after the release of the HBO documentary Paradise Lost: The Child Murders at Robin Hood Hills in June of 1996. In August 2011, the 3 teenagers who had been convicted of the grisly killings, Damian Eccles, Jason Baldwin, and Jesse Miskelly Jr., were released from prison after being incarcerated in Arkansas for 18 years. Eccles had received a death sentence, and Baldwin and Miskelly were even given life sentences despite an arguably botched police investigation and questionable evidence. The West Memphis 3 are free after nearly 2 decades of behind bars. This case still lingers in the public consciousness. There are many questions that remain unanswered about the murders of 3 8-year-old boys in West Memphis, Arkansas on May 5th, 1993. A frantic search for the neighborhoods and the nearby woods turned up nothing until the boys' dead bodies were found in a creek the following afternoon. All right, hold on. Their naked bodies had been badly beaten and appeared to be cut and mutilated. Suspicion quickly fell on the three Memphis teenagers, Eccles, Baldwin, and Miskelly, were targeted because they dressed in black, had long hair, and listened to heavy metal music. Rumors of Satanism, ritual animal killings, and even human sacrifice spread like wildfire through the area. The police focused their investigation on Eccles as the ringleader and Baldwin and Miskelly as his loyal followers. There was a report of a bloody man in a bathroom at a nearby restaurant bathroom the night of the murders. Highly suspicious behaviors and activities of family members of the dead boys. The police believed that they had their suspects, and they arrested Eccles, Baldwin, and Miskelly for the killings. All three teenagers were tried, charged, sentenced to the murders of the three boys. The people of West Memphis breathed a sigh of relief, and that their town was safer and could begin to heal their emotional wounds now that the case was solved. Hold on. But many outside of West Memphis believed that the trio had been unfairly targeted and were convicted on flimsy evidence and falsehoods. The first Paradise Lost documentary in 1996 brought the case to the attention of the general population, and two sequels in 2000 and 2011 continued to explore the story and keep the plight of the West Memphis Three in the public eye. Celebrities such as Johnny Depp, Eddie Vedder, and Henry Rollins also joined the cause to raise awareness for Eccles, Baldwin, and Miskelly as they languished behind bars. Finally, on August 19, 2011, all three men were released from prison after taking the Alford plea, which still leaves them legally responsible. Now, the Alford plea is a guilty plea in a criminal court. Thereby, a defendant in a criminal case does not admit to the criminal act and asserts innocence, and I've never heard of that before. Speculation, rumor, and missed opportunities continued to haunt the case. Principal among these uncertainties is how the actual murders were actually committed. Hold on for a second, I gotta do something. The detail caused investigators and in turn the public to believe that some kind of ritual abuse was performed on the boys and that the Byers had been singled out for some reason. When the bodies of the boys were discovered, it was clear that Christopher Byers had suffered from genital mutilation. Abrasions inside the boys' mouths and a particularly large wound on Steve Branch's face highlighted the prosecution's insistence that the victims were beaten savagely and tortured with knives by Eccles, Baldwin, and Miskelly. Not until years later, after the three were locked away in prison, did it come to light that the wounds were not caused by human hands or weapons, but actually by wild animals in Robin Hood Hills. The boys were dumped in a creek in a wooded area until their bodies were found. They were preyed upon by wild animals, most notably turtles. Renowned forensic pathologist Dr. Wiener Spitz was hired by Eccles' lawyers to examine the evidence at the crime scene. In 2007, Dr. Spitz concluded that animal claw marks on the bodies were obvious and that there was no way the injuries to Christopher Byers could have been caused by a knife. These facts alone and many of the examples of misleading information cast a shadow of doubt on the state's case against the West Memphis Three. Some officers, attorneys, other influential people in the West Memphis case had their minds made up as to who was responsible for these brutal murders. A county juvenile officer named Jerry Driver had a particular interest in the Damien Eccles case and his outcast friends before the murders even occurred. Jerry Driver, juvenile probation officer Steve Jones were convinced that there was a dangerous satanic cult at work in West Memphis, that Eccles and other members worshipped Satan and performed sacrificial rituals in the area. Driver and Jones were so sure about their hunches that the two men would drive along country roads and through isolated areas during full moons to try and catch satanic cults in the act. There is no doubt that Damien Echols was a poor, troubled teenager from a broken home, but the scrutiny and paranoia surrounding him was pure satanic panic, drummed up by Driver and Jones. The two juvenile officers contacted former police officer Dale Griffiths, a self-proclaimed expert on the occult. A year before 1993, murders to get his insight about Satanism, cult activity, and how they might combat it in West Memphis. When the bodies of the three boys were pulled from the murky drainage ditch in May 6 of 1993, Steve Jones was on the scene and said, "Looks like Damien has finally killed someone." Driver and Jones told anyone who would listen, including those in law enforcement, about their belief that Echols was responsible for the murders, despite the fact that Echols had already been on his radar before the investigation. Dale Griffiths was put on stand during his trial and argued that the murders of the three young boys had trappings of occultism, and that the evidence seized from Damien, his home, featured occult and satanic drawings and writings. Echols' defense attorney attempted to have Griffiths discredited as an expert, but the judge allowed his testimony to proceed. There is no doubt that Dale Griffiths' damning testimony, the relentless drumbeat of suspicion from Driver and Jones, played a role in Damien Echols' conviction and his sentence of a death sentence. So, what do you got?
Well, yeah, they didn't do it. I mean, we know that. Let me go ahead and preface this by saying I have a pentagram, a pentacle, on my back. That would be considered satanic by a large number of people. It should frighten everybody that in such recent years, simply because of the color of clothes you wear and how you look, regardless of what you've done in your life, that you can be picked up, tried, and convicted for a crime of Satanism based on how you look. That should terrify every single person out there, because there was no evidence. There was no evidence, no concrete evidence that put these three young boys with these three older boys. I am going to not say who I feel did it, because I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to be sued. But I will say that there is a group in West Memphis, and they like, back in the day, to point fingers so that people don't look at them. Were there certain situations and certain cult activities going on in West Memphis during that time? You darn tootin' there was. Was it from those three boys? No, it wasn't. Heavy metal music didn't cause this. And for all of those people out there that think that that is what Satanism is, those who truly are worshiping something like that or practicing cult activity, the last thing you're going to suspect from somebody like that is they look like your average Joe. They might be the guy that runs juvenile detention, and he looks like a stand-up guy. Might be the principal at a school. Might be a parent. And those are the people that needed to be looked at way more closely in regards to the death of these three young boys. There was actually evidence in the bodies of sexual abuse, bruises on the back of the throat, that you can only get through sexual abuse. Ooh. All of that was evident, but the view was swayed, and it was swayed perfectly so that everything else could be disregarded in a timely fashion, where it was really imperative that it be looked at and other evidence found that could have actually been connected to the persons, not those three, but the persons, at least two, who did this, and they were very well known by these three young boys. This was not strangers coming through. This was not your three kids in high school listening to heavy metal music and smoking pot behind the gym. It wasn't them, but they were close.
Wow. So you do have names, but you can't say them.
I will be sued. These people are still alive.
Wow.
They are still alive and they are still living there.
Do you know why they killed what their reasoning would have been to kill the three boys?
To get rid of them. Because they were evidence of what they were doing. And it wasn't just with those three boys. There have been other kids who have been sexually assaulted or mistreated in that town. And everybody just turns a blind eye to it because that's good Christian man.
Okay, so those that killed the boys, what was their age? About what was their age?
16, 17, and 19, is it? That's how they look to me. 16, 17, and 19? Oh, you mean the ones that actually killed them?
Yeah.
Oh, no, adult males. Full-grown-ass adult males.
No.
Between the ages of 33 and 38.
Oh, my goodness, really?
Uh-huh.
Those that, okay, were the killers related in any way?
At least one.
To the boys that they killed or to the other killer?
No, to the boys that were killed. Keep in mind, relation can mean many things. It can be a distant cousin, it can be a dad, a stepdad, it can be through marriage. So I'm not being any more specific than that because I don't want to get sued.
Yeah, well, I don't blame you.
It's one thing older cases solving those. When it's something where I can go to jail for it, or because they sue me, it's a whole other different ball game. I got a kid to support. So, but yes, there was evidence that would have tied the actual killers and pedophiles to those deaths, and it was completely overlooked.
Wow.
Because from the get-go, the investigation was veered in one direction.
Wow.
The completely wrong direction. Yeah.
So they'll never be caught then, huh?
No. And the Alfred plea kind of solidified that because they didn't claim they were guilty, but that was the only way they were going to get out. Didn't claim they were guilty. Didn't claim they weren't guilty. Only way they were going to get out. Well, that is technically considered a closed case, which if it's a closed murder case, it is my understanding, and by all means, please correct me if I'm wrong, but you can't convict two separate people that are unrelated, that, decades apart for the same death. Can't do it. So, in order to be able to prosecute somebody else for the death of these three boys, they would have to prove those three, the three other men that were convicted for it, innocent first.
Wow.
And no one's going to do that.
Wow. These killers, have they done it before?
They molested before.
Oh. Wow.
Yes. Their secret was going to get exposed.
Now, did they lure the three boys into the?
They were kind of in control of them from the get-go. It was more of a situation where the middle boy, if I had to picture these boys and picture how they were found, I see them in almost like an oblong triangle in the water.
So
and it would have been the one in the middle.
Michael Moore was the middle boy, and
okay. During this particular situation where the pedophilia was going on, where the molestation was going on, where they were being assaulted, he got injured in a way there was no way to hide that. And so because that happened, all three had to die.
Wow.
You know, I mean, pedophiles can hide sexual abuse. What they can't hide is when their anger or their excitement gets the best of them, and they physically, outwardly, visibly injure in a way that couldn't happen naturally, or couldn't be explained away with he fell off his bike, or, you know, he had a skateboarding accident, or he tripped. You know, there are injuries that can't be explained away through natural causes. And that is what happened with him. And that kind of snowballed or had a domino effect. And at that point, since they were all three together, it was, can't get rid of one and not the other two, because the other two are going to say what happened. So
did the three boys, though, go into the creek area together, or did the one go first and the other one went looking for them?
No, they were all, the way I see them is all three together.
Oh, okay.
That's the way I see them. I don't ever see one or two being apart from the others, unless the adult is with them. And by the adult, I mean the offender.
Okay.
There was an area there that was almost like an outbuilding or a shack or something along those lines. It's probably torn down by now, but that was one of the go-to places, and for whatever reason, it wasn't searched.
Wow.
It's pretty fucking twisted.
Yeah. Yeah, well, there were viewers that wanted us for me to present this case to you. They were asking. In fact, they've been asking for the last two shows that we did. Please do the Memphis 3. Okay.
Well, I mean, I don't know if I told people what they wanted to hear, but I'm just calling it like I see it. Take it for what it is, but I stand by it. I stand by it. It makes my heart sick on many, many, many levels. And I'm not going to blow smoke up anybody's ass over something like that. I wouldn't do it anyway, but still.
Okay. Okay. Whew.
That's a tough one, yeah.
All right. Now this one here. I've always wanted to know about this. Okay, we're going to do the disappearance of Walter Collins, and it's also part of it's the Wineville Coop murders.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, yeah.
All right, and like we said early in the beginning of the show, this story was portrayed in the movies called The Changeling from a 2008 film with Angelina Jolie, and don't get it mixed up with the original Changeling with George C. Scott, which are completely two different movies, and it's fabulous.
George C. Scott one's so awesome.
Yeah.
Please watch it.
Yes.
Great movie.
All right, so on March 10th, 1928, Walter Collins, 9 years old, the son of Christine Collins, went missing and was nowhere to be found. Christine had given money to Walter to go to the movie cinema, and he never returned. Her thoughts were that maybe his father, who was an inmate at one time in Folsom Prison for committing armed robberies, maybe he had taken him. The police suspected that Walter had simply run away, but Christina refused to believe that her young boy would have run off. She came to the dreaded conclusion that he had been kidnapped. Now, with the suspicion that Walter had been taken, the police began to scan the Collins Street and neighborhood of Lincoln Heights in Los Angeles. Local thugs were dragged, questioned, and interrogated on the whereabouts of Walter, but nothing turned out, and nothing in their search. A neighbor, Mrs. A. Baker, claimed that she saw Walter in an automobile begging to be released in the company of two foreign-looking people. Now, other neighbors also gave the same information as well. They said that the days prior to Walter's abduction, an Italian-looking man along with a woman were asking for Walter's address. All information and all leads led to nothing. There was simply no trace of Walter that led the police to finding out who had taken him. After a massive search of the northeastern part of the city, neither Walter nor any trace of him was found. Walter had now been missing without a trace for over a month. 5 months after Walter's disappearance, Walter had been found. It was now August, and Christine received the confirming news from the LAPD that Walter was alive in Illinois. Walter was immediately put on a train to Los Angeles to be returned to Christine. Christine immediately exclaimed that the boy who came off the train was not her son. Hold on. Feeling the pressure from both the public and the police captain, J. Jones, about the reunion, she agreed to take the boy home. The police began to question Walter, the fake Walter, in hopes of finding his abductor. How had he escaped the kidnapper? How he ended up in Illinois? The police and doctors were unable to get straight answers from the boy because he told them nothing. Christine used Walter's dental records to prove the difference in Walter and the boy who now lived with her. The records did demonstrate marked differences in the two boys' teeth. Christine then took the dental records to Captain J. Jones. Captain Jones didn't believe her, even with the records. He concluded that Christine was trying to humiliate the LAPD, and he wasn't going to stand for this, so Jones took immediate action. Jones had Christine Collins committed to the psychopathic ward of the LA General Hospital, and after 10 days had passed, Christine was finally released. The boy claiming to be Walter confessed to not being the real Walter, but in fact was Arthur Hutchins Jr. When questioned, Arthur admitted he saw a picture of Walter and saw the resemblance and an opportunity to be Walter. He would have a one-way ticket to Los Angeles and a chance for make it in the movies. The disappearance of Walter Collins would now resume with no local leads. Christine had now returned to her job. Meanwhile, in Wineville, California, and unthinkable events were occurring. Right, hold on. It all began to unravel when Jessie Clark was eager to check up on her brother, Sanford Clark, who had moved to California 2 years prior with her uncle, Gordon Stewart Northcutt, and his mother, Sarah Louise. Jessie became increasingly concerned for Sanford's safety. She decided to find out what exactly was taking place. Her fears of abuse and torment coming to Sanford from Gordon became clear during her visit, and Gordon even became violent toward Jessie. She returned home to Canada and told everything to her mother, who had no hesitation in informing the police of the abuse. The U.S. authorities made an immediate visit to Northcutt's ranch in Wineville, a ranch out in the middle of nowhere. When Northcutt saw the authorities driving up, he demanded that Sanford stall them. Sanford did as he told because he was afraid of Gordon. Gordon and his mother, Sarah, fled and were not captured until they were found in British Columbia. Sanford Clark told the police that Northcutt and his mother Sarah had murdered the missing Walter Collins, and that no other boys remained at the farm, and there were other boys who remained at the farm who also fell victim to Northcutt's hand. Sanford Clark told the police about what took place. Hold on. Sorry, guys, it's really hard to do this while I'm talking. Sanford told the police about what took place. He said the boys were killed by an axe quicklime was poured over their bodies before disposing them. In shock and disbelief, the police in Sanford returned to Wineville to dig up the remains that Sanford had claimed were there. Now I'm showing a picture of a chair that Sanford said was used. Supposedly the boys sat in the chair and then he used an axe. Now I don't know if he just bludgeoned them to death with the axe or cut their heads off. I don't know. The physical remains were found on the farm, proving that the boys had been there, including the Winslow brothers, Nelson 10 and Lewis 12, and they had gone missing only 30 miles away from where Walter had been taken. And here's a picture of the boys. Library books, clothes, belonging to the boys had been found in the chicken coop where Northcutt kept the boys locked in. When Sanford took the authorities to the graves, the bodies were no longer there. Only pieces of the bodies were found. Northcutt and his mother had emptied the graves, burned the bodies and the remains in the desert before Jesse Clark informed the authorities.
No, they didn't.
All right, hold on. I'm showing pictures. This is the chicken coop. And this is where they were. Let's see. They went out. Onto the grounds. They did find the hatchet. And these are the clothes. Some of the clothes that they found. This is where they dug up in the chicken coop. Okay, some human bones and a blood-soaked mattress turned up, and it proved that Nelson and Louis Winslow, Walter, a ranch hand, Alvin Gathia were tragically murdered. On December 3rd, Northcutt confessed to the murders of the Winslow brothers and Alvin Gathia. Hold on. Gordon Stewart kidnapped, sexually abused, and murdered at least 3, possibly as many as 20 young boys. Sarah Lewis Northcutt confessed to the murder of Walter Collins. Hold on. Christine met with Northcutt to discuss whether or not he and his mother had truly killed her son. Now she went to the jail where Northcutt was, and she asked him, she said, "Please, can you tell me, did you truly kill my son?" Now, Northcutt had previously admitted to the killings, but when she went to him and confronted him, he said, "Christine, we did not kill Walter." Northcutt was found guilty of having committed 3 murders, was hanged on October 2nd. Hold on. He was hung on October 2nd, 1930 in San Quentin. His mother, Sarah Louise, was found guilty of the murder of Walter Collins and sentenced to life in prison. Now, she also said, even though she pleaded guilty to Walter's killing, she said that she didn't kill him. She still said she was found guilty of it, she admitted it, and then she turned around and said she did not kill Walter. And Walter's body was never found. And poor Christine Collins, she still held out hope that her son might still alive. So what happened to Walter?
Well, the thing is, Walter died of natural causes, but he died in their hands. So technically speaking, they didn't outright murder him. They did cause his death, but to them, that's not murder. He just simply died in their custody. And the one thing that they wouldn't have thought of back then, they wouldn't think of it today, probably even. People always think of pigs as being farm animals that can get rid of a body, but they also forget that chickens are omnivores. And what happened is the bodies weren't covered, the entire bodies in their entirety weren't covered with lye and then taken out and burned. Because first off, if you cover something with lye, you don't need to take it out and burn it.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
I mean, you're not going to dig all that up and take it out into the desert and burn it. You're just not going to do that. But you would grind it up, feed it to your chickens, and that's what they did.
Oh.
Yeah, it's
Well,
pretty gross.
okay, so did they actually capture? Did they actually take Walter Collins?
They did not take him. One of the people that it's kind of like the same situation that you're seeing even today is the rings. You know, of people, the little pedophile rings and stuff. Why are we doing a show totally like on pedophiles? Oh, Norene, I love you, but fuck.
I'm sorry.
But you know, it's kind of one of those situations. You know what I mean? And it happens and has always happened way more than people realize. Way more than people realize. And the supposedly Latin-looking man was just one of that other fella's cohorts.
But they were connected to Northcutt.
Yes.
Now, the thing I can't understand is why Sanford Clark, they questioned him, and at one point I think they were connecting him with helping Northcutt to kill the kids.
He was a victim.
Yeah, because he was never charged.
No, he was a victim. And it would be really easy for us to sit back and say, well, he still should have been charged. He still participated. And that's a really easy stance to take, and I totally get it. But you're talking about somebody that was repeatedly and vigorously and viciously abused, sexually and otherwise, by these people.
Oh,
and he had nowhere to go, nowhere to turn.
Yeah, that's right, because the sister said that he was being tortured and abused.
Yes, very much so.
Well,
and in ways that were really inventive. You know, and I'm not trying to make that. I'm not making light of it. I'm trying not to throw up. Is what I'm trying to do. It was very different. Very the guy had very unique tastes.
What does that mean?
There's pedophiles and then there's pedophiles.
Oh my God.
Yes. So he had, God, this is so fucking gross. He enjoyed drinking their blood.
Oh.
It was part of the sexual thing for him.
Oh my God. Why didn't he confess then? I now see. I don't know what he confessed to, except he confessed to killing. But and they were there. I'm sure they're in the court records. I don't know how to get a hold of those court records. Sometimes they make the court records available online, but I would love to read them to see what he confessed to and what he told the authorities. And I wonder if Sanford knew any of this as well. How much was Sanford involved with the killings?
I don't think with the killings at all. I'm not seeing him involved with the killings at all, just in helping them dispose. Just in disposing. And it's really easy for us to sit back and say, well, they're caught, why don't they just confess? Not confessing or confessing and then retracting, that gives them power. Just like, you know, sexual power over a young child gets them high. So does that. Withholding that final bit of solace or peace or comfort that you could give to a parent whose child is now gone by just letting them know what happened, they'll withhold that shit in a heartbeat. They don't care. You can't look at somebody like them as human. They don't function the same. They don't think the same. They don't run on the same moral compass. It's completely different. So the wishy-washy of the confessing, retracting, or I'll confess to this, but I'm not going to confess to this. Oh, heavens no. That is typical narcissistic behavior because it allows them to retain some semblance of control.
Hey,
and they were all about control.
I'm kind of curious about. Let me see if I can pull. There was the weirdest picture I saw of the mother. She looked like a man. I thought it was a man dressed up as a woman, but it was her. I don't think I pulled that picture up. Oh, I want to hear. I want to show. Oh, you can't see it.
I'm gonna pull it up on my phone so I can watch it on YouTube so I can see what everybody else is seeing.
I can send that picture to you right now. Let me send this to you. I want to know about her. I want to know what you pick up because she's really strange. Let me see if I can get this to you. Oh, come on. I'm trying to send this to you. It won't send. Damn it. I got it.
I'll go to the YouTube.
I got it. I just
sent
it. Yeah, I just sent it to you. I didn't show the viewers this. I will now. I don't know. She's just really bizarre. There's something about her. Hold on, let me show the viewers.
Well, I can be really honest. It's her family tree didn't branch a whole lot. So, I'm not really surprised. She's the mother, correct?
Yeah, she's his mother.
Yeah. There's a very specific reason her son turned out the way he did.
Oh. What are you picking up from her? Did she, because I forget what he said. He was,
Oh, no, she was abusing him from like 3 years old up.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
She's hollow.
Oh yeah, she's yeah. I don't like the looks of her at all.
She's hollow. I hesitate to call somebody soulless, but I'll go ahead and do it in this case.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ew.
Yeah, she's creepy looking, I'll tell you.
Well, it's just that there's nothing in there. She's hollow. It's blank.
Okay.
That is awful.
Okay. Is there any? So, all right. So, you mean they didn't kill Walter? How did he die? Do
He
you know?
died in their care. They didn't outright murder him.
But why did they murder the other boys, but they didn't murder him?
It wasn't because they didn't want to. He just died before they could.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you know? What do you think killed him?
Lack of care, exposure.
Oh.
What do you call it? Infection. Different things from being held and in really, really, really poor conditions.
Oh. Was it a disease, maybe? Did he get some kind of disease?
Dysentery.
Oh. Were they... was this monster...
They were filthy. You got to keep in mind that, what little food they would have been given, it's not like it would have been taken out to them on a regular plate and given like it was, like if they were part of the family sitting at a dinner table. It would have been thrown on the ground with chicken feces and everything else. Think about that.
Oh.
So if a child has any compromised immune system, which he did, he was a sickly child, if they had any type of compromised immune system, it wouldn't take much, especially being exposed to the elements.
Wow. Is there any other information you can give the viewers on this case?
That's pretty much going to cover it on my end.
All right. Let's...
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
And the sucky part is, it's not like we can do a damn thing about it, you know?
I know.
It's heartbreaking.
imagine all what goes on in this world, and a lot of it we don't know anything about. Can you imagine all the old cases, even from the 1800s, that was never made available? I mean, this stuff has been going on for a long time. There's a lot of sick people out there.
Well, and it's when people tell me that everything is just getting so much worse. I'm like, no, it's not getting worse. It's always been this fucked up. You just hear about it more now. That's all.
From social media.
Yep.
Social media, you find out a lot. Yeah. All right, let's do our last one.
Okay.
All right. Now this is a strange story. It's the mysterious death in room 1046. Okay. All right, a bizarre death.
To go and just tell you.
Oh no, you can't. I have to. No, I got to tell him the story.
Okay.
Let me tell him the story.
I'm gonna read through the comments while you're doing that.
All right.
Okay?
Yeah, because we've got some questions for you. I tell you, the sweat is just pouring down me. Bizarre death in okay. A mysterious man who checked himself into a hotel room and never checked out. The mysterious death in room 1046. He left behind a wake of mystery, shadowy people, confounding details, clues, and murky circumstances that continue to baffle to this day. On the cold winter afternoon of January 2nd, 1935, a large, well-dressed man wearing a black overcoat came out of the chilly air into the Hotel President in Kansas City, Missouri. Hold on. He immediately stood out with his height, build, and a glaring facial scar on his face and cauliflower ears, perhaps a boxer or a wrestler. The man had no luggage, but nevertheless booked a room for one night, specifically requesting an interior room not facing the street outside, paying his room fee up front in cash and signing in as Roland T. Owen with an address in Los Angeles. The bellboy guided the man to room 1046, where Owen produced personal items from his pockets, put them on the counter of the bathroom before getting the key from the bellboy and promptly leaving the hotel with an unknown errand. Later on the day, the hotel maid entered room 1046 in order to clean it and found a noticeably distraught and anxious-looking Owen sitting there in the dim room with shades drawn and only a faint glow of light emanating from the single lamp. Hold on. Upon seeing the hotel maid, he composed himself, stood up, and made to leave the room, telling her on the way out that she was to leave the door open as he was expecting a friend to come over. He was very specific about leaving the door open and mentioned it several times before he left. The maid returned to the room around 4 p.m. to leave clean towels and was somewhat startled to find Owen lying on his bed, fully clothed and staring gloomily at the ceiling, deep in thought, as if trying to read letters upon it that might have been written there. The maid was able to notice a note perched on the desk that read, "Dawn, I'll be back in 15 minutes. Wait." Realizing that she was intruding, she quietly left the man to his deep thoughts, deciding to return in the morning. On January 3rd, the maid found the door oddly locked from the outside. She entered with her pass key and found Owen sitting in a dark room again, and the shades tightly shut, and one lamp casting an eerie glow over the surreal scene. Owen was talking on the phone, seemed uncomfortable and shifty. He waved her in as she cleaned, and she overheard pieces of the conversation, with the strange man nervously saying at one point, "No, Dawn, I don't want to eat. I am not hungry. I just had breakfast. No, I am not hungry." She quietly cleaned and took some dirty towels, then left Owen. She would have yet another unsettling encounter at room 1046 when she went back for her late afternoon rounds and heard two male voices talking within. Not wanting to bother them, she gently knocked and asked through the door if they needed fresh towels, which was answered by a gruff angry sounding voice, saying they didn't need any, that she should go away. On January 4th, around 1 a.m., there was a disturbance from room 1046, which the guest in a neighboring room described as what sounded like a man and a woman arguing, perhaps more than two people, as well as what could have been sounding of shuffling going on. Around 7 a.m. in the morning, an operator noticed that the phone had been left off the hook. A bellboy was sent up to go find out what was going on. The bellboy was about to have quite an odd experience. A male voice from within told him to come in and turn the lights on, but the door was locked. The bellboy told the occupant that the door was locked and knocked for several minutes, but he was only met with silence after that. So in frustration, he left shouting, "Put the phone back on the hook." The guest in room 1046 obviously hadn't listened or didn't care, because at 8:30 a.m., when that rolled around, the phone was still off the hook, and another bellboy was sent up to have the phone hung up. After knocking for several minutes with no response, the bellboy let himself in the room with a passkey and found Owen lying on the bed fully naked in the shadows, as well as the telephone lying on the floor. Assuming that Owen was just hung over, the bellboy put the phone back on its proper place and hastily let himself out. Oddly, just around an hour later, the operator noticed that the phone from room 1046 was off the hook again, and another bellboy was set up to hang the phone up. The room now had a "Do Not Disturb" sign hanging outside. Knocking on the door with no response, the bellboy opened the door and entered to find Owen hunched on the floor, holding his head in his hands, and splotches of blood on the floor, walls, as well as on the bed. And the authorities were notified. When police arrived, they were able to see that Owen was in dire shape and quite seriously injured. Having been stabbed repeatedly in the chest with a knife and his head sustaining fractures from some powerful blow, he had severe bruises on his neck, his wrist, ankles, and his neck had ties around it, and it seemed as if he had been strangled and tortured. Barely conscious, Owen bizarrely told the police that he had fallen in the bathtub and that he had not been attacked by anyone, and before slipping into a coma, he would later die at the hospital. Authorities searched room 1046. They would find quite a few oddities. There were no clothes anywhere to be found, nor was there any sign of the towels or the toiletries that the hotel usually provides. A large amount of blood was found on the walls, bed sheets, as well as the bathroom, where there were fingerprints found on the lampshade, which were thought to be those of a woman. There were 2 water glasses, one of them with a jagged piece taken out of it, and the other sitting pristine and intact on an unlit cigarette, a tiny unopened bottle of dilute sulfuric acid. The room, other than that, was completely barren, and the hotel staff told them that the curtains had not once been opened the entire time of Owen's stay. There were no other clues, and police were already having trouble figuring out exactly what had happened, but things would only steadily get weirder than they were already. It soon discovered that Roland T. Owen was not the man's real name. He had apparently been booked at several other hotels in the days before the incident, booking under different aliases, all of which were bogus, and on one occasion was seen together with another identified man. Additionally, some rather unusual tips came in as well, such as a city worker named Roland Lane, who claimed that he had been approached by a man mistaking him for a taxi on that night that Owen had checked into the hotel. Lane claimed that the mysterious passenger was dressed only in his underwear and t-shirt, despite the cold weather. Lane also noticed that the man had a bloody wound on his arm, and when asked about it, the man spat out that he had got revenge on some unknown party before wandering off into the night. Other tips came in from various bartenders saying that they had seen a man watching matching Owen's description frequently in the bars of the area in the company of several different women, and that an elevator operator at the President Hotel claimed that he had seen what he took to be a prostitute wandering around on that night looking for room 1026. Although considering the room number was wrong, it was hard to say whether this was a mistake on her part or whether she had anything to do with Owen's death at all. In the meantime, police sent out sketches of the dead man all over the place, but no one seemed to know who he was. When his body was put on display, several people claimed to know who he was. None of these claims led anywhere, and Owen's identity still remains elusive. During the funeral preparations, another potential lead came in with an anonymous caller. Hold on. Anonymous caller who claimed that the dead man was his brother-in-law. The police were on the wrong track and that they were not to bury him in Pottersfield as planned. The mysterious caller paid for the funeral expenses with a wad of cash wrapped in a newspaper, but no other information was forthcoming, and yet another dead end. During the actual funeral, no friends, no family turned up, although an anonymous person did send some money and flowers with a note saying, "Love forever, Louise." Police tried to focus on finding out who the mysterious Dawn was that Owen had mentioned in his note, but they had little to go on. Owen's bizarre behavior in the preceding days and the odd evidence turned up in the room, creating a baffling puzzle for the authorities. What could have possibly happened, or who could have carried it out, and why? Owen was eventually buried at Memorial Cemetery, paid for an anonymous party. His death and the strange circumstances surrounding it are far from solved, and the case remains ice cold. With no new leads until 1936, when a woman called authorities and identified herself as Eleanor Ogletree from Birmingham, Alabama. The mysterious woman claimed that she had come across a photo of Owen as she was reading a magazine article about the case, and that she had immediately recognized him as her brother, Artemis, who had long gone missing. According to her, he had disappeared in 1934, and there had been suspicious circumstances surrounding it, as Artemis had apparently sent a series of strange letters to his mother. Ruby Ogletree, even though he had no idea how to type, and the tone of the letters was all wrong as well. The final letter had said that he wanted to see the world and planned to sail to Europe, and that he would be the last of it until a strange phone call had come in. The call had originated in Memphis, Tennessee, from a man calling himself Jordan, who merely said that Artemis had saved his life. He got married and settled down in Cairo, Egypt, but an intensive search could not locate him. Photos of Artemis were sent to authorities, and the resemblance was uncanny, right down to the facial scar. And bizarrely, if it was really Owen, then considering the timeline, the letters and the phone call had happened after his death. Was Artemis Ogletree really the mysterious Ronald T. Owen? And if so, how did he wind up in Kansas City? Was the mysterious Jordan actually Don, the man who had been heard talking to Owen and who had been seen with him? Had he killed Artemis and then sent those letters and made the call to his family after the fact? If so, why and when? Who was the woman involved in it all, and what part did she have to play? This promising lead eventually went cold, and investigators were left with nothing. There have never been any suspects in the death, nor clear motive, and nothing to satisfactorily tie together all of the leads. Who was Roland Owen, and what happened in room 1046? And it looks like they'll probably never know. What's the deal?
Okay, first off, in the chat, everybody was talking about a movie that I think they said Stephen King made a movie kind of inspired by this, and how it was pretty cool. And I want to say that's right. Was it like 1406 or 1408, something along those lines?
Oh yeah, with oh my God, I forget I saw that. Yes, I saw that. Yes.
John Cusack. I'm just gonna go ahead and go on record here and say it is a sexy motherfucker. I don't care who you are. He is just yum. But I mean, I wouldn't throw him out of bed. But the ironic thing is that movie isn't far off, because nobody killed him. He was schizophrenic and he did it to himself. And if they would have just checked medical, psych hospitals in the surrounding vicinity for escapees or people recently released at that time, or that got out, for lack of a better way of putting it, or escaped or whatever, they would have actually found who he was. They would have had his name. The thing is, he had been institutionalized 95% of his life because he came from a high-ranking family who did not want everybody to know that their offspring was a little touched in the head. Okay, and the being institutionalized just made it that much worse. Okay, so when he was able to get out, however it happened, whether it was, by chance or he did it himself or just got lucky, his schizophrenia and lack of proper care just kind of took over. All of those wounds were self-inflicted. Everything that happened on him was self-inflicted.
Well, who was he talking? Oh, so if he was a nut job, then he was talking to himself.
Yes.
Interesting.
So the movie's not far off. How crazy is that?
You know what? I've only seen that movie once, and
Same.
But now that I know about this case, I'll have to watch it again.
Yeah, it's not far off. It's definitely, obviously, more real than the movie, because that's a movie. But no, that was all self-inflicted. And people are going to say, well, how could he bind his hands and how could he bind his ankles? Schizophrenic. Hey, trust me, it can happen. And he would think it was somebody else doing it. But for the fact of him to have that moment of lucidness at the end and say, nobody did this to me. That was that moment of clarity. At the very end saying, basically without saying it, I did this to me. I did this.
And then he used those aliases to check into, 3 or 4 other hotels.
Let's call it aliases, but let's call it what it probably was to him. His name at the time.
Hey, could he have been more than one personality?
Yes. That can accompany schizophrenia in many cases. And each personality knows how to deal with the situation in a different way.
Okay, so in that case, if he had multiple personalities, he was talking to one of the other ones. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
But he did it to himself.
So he was an old...
Nobody else did that.
Wow. That's crazy. Wow.
It is nuts, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And I'm not making light. I'm really not, because what a horrible way to live. But what's even more horrible is the after effect, because obviously this was publicized. Obviously this was in the papers. And yet his family chose not to claim him.
Well, I don't remember what year DNA came into existence. And this was in 1936. And
it definitely wasn't in existence then. Yeah.
So, you're probably right. And so, in those days, the detective work isn't like what it is today. They would have found out who it was.
Well, they wanted, I'm sure, to believe that with the extent of his injuries, that obviously somebody else had to do this. It never would have occurred to them that somebody... Look at my doggy back there.
I know.
It never would have occurred to the police or anyone back then that, hey, maybe we ought to check the local or the in the near vicinity psych wards and see if anybody got out.
Yeah, I'm sure that never even came across their minds.
And in those days, I mean, why would it? Why would it? Even today, why would it? You might not even think about that. But yeah, I mean, that's exactly what happened. If it's any consolation to anybody, he's okay now.
Oh,
yeah, I mean, and that's a good thing. It's awful the way that it had to go down, but if he's finally at peace, that's kind of all that matters.
Yeah.
Nobody else was charged with his murder. He made sure in that moment of lucidness to let them know nobody attacked me. He made sure of that. And of course they still have to investigate, but the only person to suffer, aside from anybody that might have found him, was him.
Wow. Wow. So when I was reading that, I never even thought about that. Wow.
I knew it the second you brought the case up, and I'm like, you want me to go ahead and tell you now?
Oh, no, that's why I'm glad you didn't.
Yeah, because that would have been super short, you know? But yeah, it's, I'm not going to say he went out on his own terms, but he didn't take anybody else with him. And that's pretty remarkable. So, I know that sounds really weird. I feel weird saying it, but I have to respect the guy for that.
Okay. Well, that's very interesting because that never even came to mind. Okay, we have a couple questions. Royce, if they have any other questions for Vanessa, can you send them to me? I'm going to have Vanessa, she is going to answer questions now. Let me get another, let me put you on full screen.
Yeah, how long are we going on, sweetie?
We're done. Do you want to answer a couple questions?
I can answer a couple, but I got to get up at 4:30 in the morning.
Okay. All right. We're just going to take the ones that Royce has, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so I Am Alpha wants to know, did the boys hunt the place? Okay, okay. Did the boys hunt the place? I hope they appear and torment the killers. I don't understand. That must be the little boys.
The Memphis. West Memphis.
Oh, yeah.
And no, they do not.
Okay. From Tall Cross, and he's our friend from Scotland. What happened to Brian Schaefer in the Tuna Saloon Bar? I don't know what that must be some case.
That must be a case. The only thing that I'm seeing on that, and I'm not saying I'm right, because I don't know what a tuna saloon bar is, but all I'm seeing is two separate guys with knives and they're swinging them.
Okay.
And I don't feel like a Brian Schaefer is one of them. So I don't know if this is two people on him or if this is something separate.
All right. Another question from Tiffany Berry. What happened to the Fort Worth 3? I never heard of that case.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't have time to get into new cases.
I know.
I mean, bless y'all, but I work 70 hours a week outside the home. So when I say I got to get up at 4:30, I'm not kidding.
Okay, so I Am Alpha said maybe all the people were sellouts and sacrificed the children to get power on the Memphis 3?
No.
No, okay.
It's not that complicated. It's not that convoluted.
Okay.
There was a group of people that were doing horrible things and were going to get caught based on additional actions of one.
Okay.
So they had to get rid of the evidence, so to speak.
All right.
And unfortunately, the children were the evidence.
Okay. Hey, guys, no more questions. Vanessa has to go. I'm sorry it took so long. That's why I kept it at 4.
I know, and we still went almost 2 hours.
I know. I didn't mean to. I'm sorry to keep you. Okay.
That's okay. I just got to eat some dinner and go to bed because I didn't even get home till 7.
Oh, honey, I'm sorry, but
that's okay.
You know, we just love having you on the show. We just love it.
I love y'all too. One of these days, when I'm not having to work like a freaking demon, I can do this more.
Okay. All right.
You know?
Okay.
But I love y'all.
Okay. Thanks, honey. I won't see you. I probably won't talk to you. Have a coming up, Halloween. Have a great Halloween. Have happy holidays. And I won't do any. I have just a couple more shows left till the end of the year, so I'll get in touch with you next year.
That sounds wonderful, honey.
Thanks.
Love you.
Love you too. Night, honey. Thank you.
Night,
Love
night.
you. Good
Love you.
night.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Night, honey.
Good night.
Oh, awesome, guys. I hope you enjoyed the show. I didn't mean to keep her that long. I could go all night with Vanessa and these unsolved mysteries. Okay, so let's do some shout outs. I am soaking wet in here. It's just dripping off of me. I don't have the air condition on, and I got 5,000 watts of lights on me, and I'm soaking wet. So I hope you like the show. The next show is on the September 22nd with Bill Bean. He's written another book, Dark Forces, and he'll be joining us. He wanted to come back. He loves coming on the show. I think that's going to be like the 4th show I've done with Bill Bean. All right, so let's do some shout outs. Okay, Royce, I guess I'll just start doing the shout outs. Okay, and our mods, Royce Hinman, Unique Annie, and Cassandra 50, our mods tonight. Thanks so much for being here. If it wasn't for our mods, you guys, we wouldn't have the great chat room that we have. And thank you so much. Thank you for being here with me every week. Thank you when I have the shows. Thank you so much. Also, please remember to give your prayers and positive thoughts to Royce, please. He needs them. All right, so let's do some shout outs. Let's see. Do you have some for me, Royce? Oh, here we go. Aaron Brody. Guys, thanks so much for being here tonight. Thank you so much. Aaron Brody, Andrew and his trucking gnomes, Anita Ackerman, Bridget Harrison, Cassandra 50, Charms Paranormal and Justice, Chippa Terry, Cindy W, David Cesners, Deborah Jordan, Des Bunny, I love that, Ethel Mertz, Jojo Bean, Lisa Johnston, Lully Tooby, Maria H, Nebet Seta, O Kitty Rabbit, Royce Hinman, thank you Royce, the Haglin, they are out there, too many people, same tag, Unique Annie, and Wendy McKenzie, and Jenny, thanks so much for the chat money, I really appreciate that, thank you very, very much. Julie Wilson, Jenny, Jessica Wan, oh thanks Tall Cross, thank you to Scotland, Charms Paranormal and Justice, anybody else? Did I miss anybody else? Oh, Debbie Jordan. Debbie, I keep forgetting that you go by that name. Debbie Knapp, Debbie Jordan. I've known her for years. Since the time I was back in 2006 with Live Sci-Fi. We go way back. Same with Cassandra, Annie, and Royce. That's how they all met me. The Haglin, Jordan Perkins, Zoe Small. Anybody else? Tammy Heitzman. Anybody else want to shout out? Oh my God. Yes. Hey guys. Oh, Halloween. Not yet. October 31st. Oh, I'm doing a show with Royce. I think it's the 24th, Royce. I can't remember. We're doing those ghost pictures. Lori Miller. We're doing those ghost pictures, but that's not till October. So I'm gonna go. You could see from my face I'm soaking wet. And don't forget we are re-airing the show with. I guess the audio was fine tonight. We're Charlotte Wise. We're redoing the show with Keith Linder. I'm redoing the whole show, and he's coming back, and I think that's in November. So, Lily Villalobos, hi. So yeah, anyway guys, I'm gonna go. Have a great weekend. We are going tomorrow night to see Heart concert right up the street from us at the Pavilion. And I'm really excited about it. I love Heart. Yeah, we had... Oh, yeah. Okay, guys, I'm gonna go. They are out there. Maria, I got all you guys. Okay, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go now, and actually, I'm gonna have dinner with my husband, and we're gonna bonbon. Hi, and then we're gonna watch. We've been watching Dexter. Oh my God, absolutely love that series. We're halfway through. Oh my God, I can't wait for when Jim comes home at night so we can start watching it. All right, guys, I love you guys. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you on the 22nd with Bill Bean. Okay, love you guys. Thank you so much. Don't forget prayers to Royce. Thank you. Love you guys. Thank you so much. See you next show. Thank you.